Good afternoon, everyone. So we have been talking about financial leadership since morning. We have been talking about resilience. We have been speaking about, how sustainable growth is required. Coming on to a more critical stance or more intense stance, our panel is about empowering the decision making with financial analytics, with advanced financial analytics rather. Before I start my session, I think everyone had lunch, so we can give a big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. Okay, so when we talk about these advanced financial analytics, when we talk about decision making, there's a lot of new tools and techniques that are, being used. How are we leveraging that in order to extract actionable insights from the vast amount of financial data that we have? So if I start with the topic on a more critical stance or more intense stance on it, if we go on with what are the key benefits that you look into when we are integrating these advanced financial analytics into the decision-making process. Mr. Agrawal, if we start on with you, like if you can, start off with naming one.
Data analytics, right? The name itself says the availability of data. So I would say for you to create anything that you call wow, first availability of the right data is what you should ensure. So that's first piece that I would like to start with.
Yeah.
Lodha?
So, good evening. Thank you. So, if you talk about, say, one of the advantages of the advanced financial analytics, I would say once the right data is available, it's been cleansed, it's been verified, it's been that this is the right data, then you can get the predictive analysis, analytical information, which you can use to say cost reduction, to say how you want to plan your strategies in the future, and a lot of things even compliances for that matter. That are we are we capable enough to take care of things where we are? Is the data? Suppose the data is sales is growing. Are we enough? Do we have enough people in our compliance team or our finance team to process that data, to get the reports, to get all the things? So I would say from the advantage point of view, the major would be cost reduction and enhanced strategic planning.
Yeah, I think, Reema, you mentioned a very critical word which I would like to emphasize upon. And over and above what Bharat and Mahendra, my esteemed colleagues, has said, I agree with them. And that is integrated financial analytics. I think I would like to harp upon that word integrated. Let me remind you, the journey started probably with the ERPs of the world some 30 years back, where the whole concept of integration came in because it was enterprise resource planning. It is not a functional system. In integrated data analytics, what happens, the whole enterprise gets associated. While data hygiene, the data cost, compliance, everything is absolutely necessary. But question is, for decision making, who owns that decision? Who owns the action? That is very important. So when you have integrated data analytics and decisions trigger from there, it becomes cross-functional. It is no single individual's baby. It's an organizational responsibility that will drive business results. That's where integrated data analytics play a very fundamental role.
So I agree, actually, taking Saibal's point further. See, what happens, like when we used to actually think about financial analysis earlier, it was largely a variance analysis, and I always considered financial analysis little different than the business analysis. The way finance as a function has evolved over last few decades, it is more like what is the value we bring on table for the business. And that's why I think having the insight on operations and adding the financial analysis, which actually integrates, as the right word Saibal also used, what is the value which it brings? Like in the healthcare industry, like where we work, having a very critical hospital-based KPIs are extremely important rather than just a normal basic financial analysis. So that's what I would summarize the point as.
Mr. Sehgal, you spoke about the implementation of it. We all spoke about the key benefits that advanced financial analytics has. But when we talk about the challenges, of course, understanding and getting to know about both sides of the coin, there are opportunities and challenges in every industry that we witness. But what challenges do you foresee when you see the implementation of these advanced financial analytics into the organization, whether it be data, whether it be privacy or security?
Yeah, that's a very, very important point actually. While all this looks to be very fancy and final results are very, very impressive, no doubt about it, which touches our daily lives, but the challenges are far from many. The first big challenge, I think Bharat touched upon a little bit on that as well, is the readiness, the data readiness. And it's not only the data, the whole IT architectural readiness, the business readiness, most important part of it. Is the business ready? Is the mindset ready? Is there a top-down approach? Is there what is the tone at the top? Is there a ownership right at the top that drives down, trickles down? Because normally which happens is adoption becomes a challenge, change management becomes a challenge. You will spend crores of rupees and you will get it implemented. We have faced in our organization where adoption has been very, very slow. Our digital readiness was there, but adoption was very slow. ROIs were getting delayed. So therefore, it is very, very important to assess all these parameters. And then from a technology perspective, that what is the readiness? A big thing, let me just touch upon. We started a big initiative, which was all based on AIs and MLs and all of that you can think of. It was SaaS-based. Halfway through, we realized our masters are not in place, which is a fundamental core. And we are in consumer durable industry. We were doing a transportation model, which was all AI, ML linked and all that. And all ROIs were calculated theoretically that this is what that whole functionality will do. But then what happened for a transportation model to work, it is very important that in the masters should carry accurate information about volumetrics, which was incorrect. And if it is incorrect, it is garbage in, garbage out. So that readiness is very, very important to check box that yes, we require these 25 things in place. Before that, we are not going to start. So therefore, just a piece of advice, and this is what we are doing right now in a very, very interesting project, which is going through completely AI enabled. And that is, we are to be doubly sure before putting the money on the table, we have advised to do a POC, a proof of concept. You do a pilot or a proof of concept for few months, weeks, depending on the project, the magnitude of the project, then test it out and see whether it really works for you. Are you ready to scale up and do a full scale? When you get convinced, then you dive into it to have the assurance of the real business benefits.
Understood. Mr. Agrawal, yes, coming on to you, I saw you, agreeing with Mr. Sengupta, and you spoke about readiness. According to you, how do organizations overcome these challenges while implementing these financial analytical solutions?
See, over a period of time, right, we have become a set of company or a setup ecosystem where people rely more on their gut feel. People rely more on their sentiments. For example, if I'm doing a budgeting for next year, somebody would walk up to me and say, look, I'm going to do 30% growth next year. But how it's going to come? The fabric of the organization has been driven based on the people's emotions, reactions, and their passion to do the business. We changing towards a place where we look for a data-driven setups, financial analytics, a whole lot of a fabric change in the organization is needed. And that starts, as I said, from the data readiness. And it is not only a finance job, let me make it very clear. Yeah? Finance plays one part in it. Everyone has to come together if we have to drive an organizational related change. Right from your, say demand planning, production planning, manufacturing, all sort of a vertical, right? They have to come together, think about it, make sure we have the right data in place, Post that, we build further things on it and make people used to look into that. Whatever you do, if people not using it, still bypassing it, it won't serve the purpose, right? So I know a place, it's a big company where a friend draw a nice project in terms of making a AI-enabled tool in place, but the sales folks are not even looking at it. So imagine the entire efforts, investment that has gone behind it. So it requires a whole lot of a change in mindset and the fabric change in the organization for you to get the results.
Understood. Mr. Toshniwal, if I, ask you for more challenges in this industry and how are organizations, overcoming them with these financial tools, how would you, this financial analytics, how would you progress that?
See, I think technology is only an enabler, right? And we have experienced, and at least in my personal experience, as a finance function, we always play a catch-up game. When technology is rolled out and then we start thinking about, okay, we need to roll this out and work towards it. Just look at the way ERP implementation things, right? There are still many organizations where the large ERPs are still not in place. In fact, many of them are still using the nascent technology and still talking about AI. So, it is a contradictory thinking in itself in case they think that, okay, we will enable AI. Sometimes I feel AI is a buzzword which has actually come in the picture and everyone is just jumping on it. I think it reminds me like when I was actually in the initial stage of my career, there was a Y2K problem which happened in 2000. Now, everyone was talking about Y2K without even knowing what is Y2K. So I think that's what is happening in case when people use the term Gen AI and AI. See, AI will work only when there is a proper way of data capturing and at the same time absolute clarity amongst everyone who is going to use that AI tool. Then only I think it may work. But at times the way data is captured, it is captured by some teams working on it. At the end of the day, then it comes to finance for overall or the last mile processing of information, which is either recording the revenue or making the payment. If that is only not captured accurately, I think no tool can actually work because the logic may not work to define the technology function to enable the usage of AI. So the way we have been working is that we need to be clear in the solution what we want, whether there is a tool which can help us in delivering it, whether it's an operating system, a finance system, or an artificial intelligence tool. That's how we are trying to actually work toward it rather than going by the fancy terms only. So that's how we have been progressing.
Just to add one point there, the way organizations can deal with such point is to have the review mechanism based on such tools. Today what happens, ironically, you have all the fancy tools available. For example, you have a Salesforce available, right? Where your territory managers to everyone else is working on that. But when it comes to the boardroom, you expect a nice PPT to come to you. That's where you defeat the purpose and people start bypassing those tools. Yeah.
Just to add a small point, I think the collaboration is equally important. When you have all this and like a large organization where your different stakeholders are there, so collaborating among once the data is picked up and this and that, maybe finance probably uses the most data, but it is equally important for all other stakeholders. And it's a real-time information availability via dashboard, or maybe gone are the days where you will wait for email to come and say, okay, this is the data, this is sales for the month, quarter. Those are all gone. So you need it at the fingertips. So all these, after all this happens, you collaborate and you have the real-time access availability of the data. That probably will, shorten all the challenges and will take it into the right place.
Understood. So, Mr. Lodha, coming on to you itself, Mr. Toshniwal mentioned AI. I mean, when we talk about advanced financial analytics, how can we not talk about AI? AI being the buzzword, AI, people knowing what it is, people not knowing what it is, everyone is talking about AI. So, when we bring artificial intelligence or machine learning into this play, what role does it have, in enhancing the predictive analytics in the system?
So the major role, as I said in the beginning, it talks about what is the advantage of it, why we have it. If you talk about why we have it, because we want to predict what we are going to do next quarter, how the investment is going to be placed, which areas we are going to go into. So that information will come from data analytics. So that is where it's going to be very important to have the right set of data and the right set of systems and the right set of stakeholders who are behind the transformation, that yes, we are going to adapt it and then we are going to use it.
Got it. Mr. Toshniwal, your views on that, since you mentioned AI as well. What role does it play in enhancing the predictive capabilities into the financial analytics?
See, I think we focus largely on number analysis. I think for number analysis or developing some predictability, there are still various tools which industries were anyway using it. Now what is happening, some of the tools which people were using it, they started associating that with AI. Actually, AI is an intelligence what we are creating in function. If you ask me honestly, the areas where we need more intelligence is the technical side, not just a purely transactional side. Because if let's suppose, as a finance professional, if I talk about beyond numbers, and if someone asks me, okay, Shridhar, I have to start office in US, and in next 15 days the branch should be up and running, I will be thinking too many things. How do I start it first? Because that will be the first thing. Generally what people will do, they will rely on Google. And that's where you start taking wrong decision itself. What we need, an intelligence tool which can help a finance professional not only in doing the analytics work on the numbers, but helping them in actually achieving the true meaning of predictability and assisting them in that intelligence which is artificially created. So yeah, that's the thing. I hope it answered the query what you had on the numbers.
I would like to provoke one thought with everybody. I'm leaving that thought with you. Somehow I believe artificial intelligence cannot supersede human intelligence. Never. The big question is that artificial intelligence is a means, it's not the end. I, as a finance person, as a CFO, as a finance leader, has to decide what is the end I'm looking for and then use the means to find to that end. Therefore, I have to be tech savvy, I have to know what I want, and accordingly, I will have to develop the means, the AI. So therefore, this is very, very fundamental. Because many times we have seen, we go and take a plunge, we do the AI or whatever output comes up, that output does not suit either does not suit the purpose of the business, or it does not suit the purpose of the financial outcome that is desirable. End of the day, what is it about? Either problem solving, or it is business growth, or it is profitability. These are the 2-3 things, or it is compliance. These are the 3, 4, 5 things that analytics will try to address. Now, if I do not know where I have to reach, what is my destination, how do I know whether I should take a flight or a train? That's thought I would like to leave with everybody, because it's very important. I have seen people lose tons of money by making wrong choices. I can go to a SaaS model. I can develop and codify a system myself. All these are very, very fundamental decisions because resources are involved, money is involved, investment is involved, and returns are prime for a business. I would just wanted to touch upon that.
Mr. Agrawal, coming on to the AI and speaking about the AI aspect itself, Mr. Sengupta, put it that it helps in profitability, it helps in growth. What role does AI has in enhancing how much productivity takes place, or how much time reduction is there while we are using AI or machine learning is there?
It does play a great role, and I can quote a practical example where I used to work with an oil and gas company almost 5 years back, and I had almost 27 countries under my purview. We used to have a large number of people who used to just do a bank reconciliation, receipting entries. We just installed some bots, 2 bots, who every 30 minutes will just pull in the statement and do the accounting entries. And we just shifted those people to do more analytical job than the operational job in which they were investing their time. So the entire future of finance, and I'm sure all of us are experiencing in our space, is if you look at the pyramid, right, the entire base, 50-60% of finance is becoming an operational finance, which nicely can be used and leveraged with the help of machine learning. On the top, you have 20-30% space where the analytical job, the strategic inputs come in. And then on the top, you have few finance folks who does the business partnering, who drive the business decision making, right? So in the middle of the pyramid is the place where you use this data that gets generated at the bottom of the pyramid and helps know business what is going to be the future, right? To a point, by workday 3 and 4, I'm sure all of us know our books are closed. So the past is reported. But what is going to happen in future is the question that always a CEO will ask to the CFO. If there is a disruption in the Red Sea, how much airlifting can I do? What is the trend and how it's going to impact my future P&L is the question that will come in. So if you have a robust fundamentals in place in your pyramid, what I was talking about, and your middle pyramid is good enough to give you the analytics, you can do a solid business partnering, which is what missing to a great extent. So yeah, that's how it can be productive and efficient.
So what I can understand is AI and machine learning is definitely, helping in boosting productivity. As you mentioned the pyramid example, at the bottom of it, it is there. And while Mr. Sengupta mentioned that, of course, it cannot replace human intelligence. I am a big voucher for human intelligence. Does it definitely helps in creating more decisions in the future?
It does. It does. It certainly, it creates a level of a data certainty and a reliability for you. For example, right, you have option of getting all the import data available from the customs. If your tool is good enough, smart enough to pick up the data, tell you the trend and say, look, this is the change happening in the import space, you can drive a lot of future decision based on that. So, yes.
Got it, understood. Thank you.
So I'll just add one quick thing, like he was talking about example. Just a real life example, like we are in the publishing industry. Our principals in UK decided that we are going to sign up for this CO2 reduction. So most of the books were imported by air across the world because that was the fastest way of getting the books there. And they had the data of last few years. And I said, okay, fine, we flew 30 tons of books around the world and this is what we generated. We want to reduce it, how can we do it? Now then it became very, very easy to make decisions on technologies like print on demand. You order a book, the printer will print for you and then it will ship out to you. I mean, you order one book which was published maybe 15 years ago, not available in India, but you can still order it, it will come out to you, business benefits, cost reduces, CFO is happy, no inventory carried out, and the group is achieving its target. So that's the impact of AI when you talk about it, that you have the data available, what can we do with it?
Understood. I'm actually very delighted that I have such a diverse panel who can give me, instances of different areas, different segments into it. Okay, so now when we talk, AI, of course, we are somehow looking at it at the future, but I'll leave AI for the time being. Mr. Sengupta, we were talking about, talent and skill set. And while we are talking about the future, what skills, talent is something, again, a very important word in today's date. A lot of people, a lot of youngsters are sitting here, actually. So what are the skill sets that you look into when you, look into this industry of financial leadership?
Yes, Reema, that's a very, very relevant point you touched upon, and I strongly feel and advocate the skilling is very important driver behind successful data analytics. See, to me, the skilling or talent, as you talk about, has two parts of it. Now, when you go to advanced data analytics through whether it is artificial intelligence or any other technology, so technology-enabled data analytics will require two sets of skill sets. One is the pure techie part of it, which is the codification, right? Which you have all the tech world getting immersed into the codification. The other part is also equally relevant, and that is a digitally or a tech savvy finance manager. If end of the day, what will a coder do? How will he codify? If you if you do not, it's like going to the restaurant. If I do not define what I want from the menu, how will the chef cook that for me? So it's very important, just by having coders and having some ready off-the-shelf SaaS applications which is freely available in the market today, it really doesn't help. That way, if you see, even your Microsoft O365 suite has tons and tons of AI built in it, which we do not realize. We use it every day, every moment, right? Google has it, everybody has it, right? So off-the-shelf solutions, tech solutions, I'm not talking only about AI, any kind of tech solutions are freely available. Point is not that. Point is, it's like a pack of cards. You have 52 cards. How do you decide which card to play on? It's on the player. So similarly, a finance person need to have a fair degree of tech savvy understanding. What exactly do I need to use and how? Now that, in these two places, I think there is a little bit of a need gap, both from a tech skill perspective and both from a tech savvy finance perspective, because we consider ourselves very tech savvy, are we? And then does the both ends meet? Because the requirement, the need versus the delivery, they have to go hand in hand. Now today, if in the tech world, if half of the world feels, well, I do a 6-month certification and I become a coder or I become an analyst, it may not always be true. And I have seen live cases where people fail to satisfy the basic tech requirements for a development. You know, this is where a point of concern is. Similarly, a finance person in today, let me give you my live example. Well, I belong to a little bit of old school of thought. I am a very, very long time into the industry. I'm a chartered accountant who qualified way back. So in those days, there is to be in the curriculum something called EDP, electronic data processing. That's it. We used to study some theoretical concepts, definitions, that's it. And you pass the exam, you become a chartered accountant. Nobody taught us how to use a computer. Forget about Microsoft. It was non-existent those days. From that day, fast forward till today, I have not only become a digital manager, in my existing company, within 2 months of my joining, I was asked to do the complete digitization of the entire company. Now imagine if that has to evolve over a period of time, and I look upon, in this audience, I find a fair cross-section of very young talent sitting over here. My advice to all of you, get ready, guys. The future is very, very going to be very exciting for you. It will be a roller coaster. There has to be continuous learning, self-learning, because tech is changing every moment. You implement something, by the time you implement, 6 months, a new tech has come in. That's what is going to happen. And the tech savviness and the tech enablement and the tech codification, all these things have to go hand in hand. And there are specialists in each area. Like in medical, you have specialists in each and every part of the body today. Somebody was jokingly saying there'll be a specialist for the right eye and a specialist for the left eye also. It has gone to that extent into the digital analytics world as well.
I don't think so. I think it's a very interesting discussion. Anyhow, so Mr. Lodha, if I talk about the financial aspects, how do financial leaders ensure that these analytics are being used in the in a subset, in a way that it is efficient, in order, and they're actionable, they're effectively actionable in the organizations?
So again, it will go to the same thing. If the data is validated, the data is correct, then yeah. And of course, the organization has its own mission, its own strategy, what they plan to do with the data and all that. So this will actually go into that mindset and say, okay, the organization does want to use this data analytics, and this is the predictive. And let me tell you one thing, the analytics, data analytics may not be only for finance. That could be for any other functions. You could have the analytics for marketing functions. You could have the, like I work in publishing, in our marketing functions, they have analytics like what is the social media following of the author, or how much, what he does. So the analytics can be from any part of the organization. They can still be used in decision making, and of course they will be a very, very important part of the decision making.
Mr. Toshniwal, your thoughts on this, that how can financial leaders ensure that the analytical driven insights are being used and being measured in an actionable format?
It's being used, like in, for example, in our industry, um, digital related measures or metrics play such an important role. Like for example, we run hospital and healthcare retail chains. Majority of leads who actually come to our hospital or clinic are generated using digital means. So we reach out to patients. It's like a pull, right? Either you push or pull, and it's a competition in the market. So how do you convert those, I mean to say, as a customer? So digital plays an important role, and so if that plays an important role, obviously then there has to be metrics which actually gives us justification. Okay, these are the measures or these are the KPIs which are actually working out and enabling that. Okay, digital as a channel or a medium is the contributor of this much of revenue or footfalls. So for example, when we actually do registration, so even if a patient calls the call center or the hospital, there's a Salesforce channel which actually measures, okay, how many leads are generated using the telecom channels, using the digital channel, using the social media channel, and how many of them are actually getting converted into an OPD, and then from OPD to IPD. So that's how, these measures are getting into place. I feel finance is a profession. Actually, it is much beyond bookkeeping and doing a basic business partnering. If the aptitude is there, I think there is a time when you will see that there are people becoming data scientists from the finance background, because they understand operations, they understand the financial impact of that operational initiative, and any kind of improvisation measures, be it on the cost, be it on the revenue upside, it plays an important role. Like in case of hospital, because I can give tons of examples of the industry where I come from, we do a lot of sense analysis also. Like for example, if a patient billing is happening, the patient might get discharged. Before that, we have to analyze the kind of consumption which has happened of the drugs and consumables, whether that is billed to patient or not. If not billed or remain uncharged to a patient, it means that revenue is gone. So we take measures in actually understanding the nature in the way consumption pattern happen to figure out whether there are instances or repeat instances coming where the billing is getting missed. So it actually helps in minimizing the revenue loss and not only the cost initiative or cost improvement initiative.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Toshniwal. Thank you so much, panelists. And I'm on time, Aditya. So, thank you, everyone. I think, is there still any question? I'll still keep it open. Or is it too intense to understand? Thank you, the panelists. Can you please give a big round of applause? Thank you.